These days, there are plenty of things to worry about, but keeping pests out of your home shouldn't be one of them. That's why you need Massey Services. Massey eliminates pests before they get inside. They start by carefully inspecting the inside and outside of your home and then focus customized treatments on the outside. Best of all, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. That's the Massey difference. Expect more and get it.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and gender nonconforming individuals to another episode of The Benjamin Dixon Show. Today is Thursday, October 26th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me. We have a lot of news to cover and to catch up on. The United States of America has a new Speaker of the House, an extremist, a Christian nationalist. We'll discuss Representative Mike Johnson from the state of Louisiana later on in today's episode. But first, we must begin with the atrocities that continue to mount in Gaza. In retaliation for the attack on October 7th by Hamas militants that took the lives of 1,400 Israelis. I put the emphasis there because those lives matter too. But in retaliation for that attack, the right-wing regime of Benjamin Netanyahu, as aided and abetted by the United States of America, has taken at least 6,000 Palestinian lives, including nearly 2,700 children. This update is particularly triggering for me, not simply because of the number of children who died, but the number of children who have died since I released my video, Palestine, Palestine. At the time that I released this video on Tuesday, the number of Gazan babies killed because of these retaliatory strikes was just over 2,000. They are racking up kills in Palestine. But the president of the United States, good old Joe Biden, despite the abundance of videos showing the chaos and the carnage in Gaza, he doesn't seem to believe or want to give any credence to the numbers being reported by the Gazan Health Ministry.
Quickly, in the 18 days since Hamas killed 1,400 Israelis, the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry says Israeli forces have killed over 6,000 Palestinians, including 2,700 children. You've previously asked Netanyahu to minimize civilian casualties. Do these numbers say to you that he is ignoring that message?
What they say to me is I have no notion that the Palestinians are telling the truth about how many people are killed. I'm sure innocents have been killed, and it's the price of waging a war. I think we should be incredibly careful. I think not we, the Israelis should be incredibly careful to be sure that they're focusing on going after the folks that are propagating this war against Israel. And it's against their interest when that doesn't happen. But I have no confidence in the number that the Palestinians are using.
Attacking the source is an age-old technique to gaslight anyone, whether it be your spouse or an entire planet. Attacking the source gives you the ability to disregard any information coming out of Gaza because you don't trust the source. And so now the United States of America and Israel can set the number of kills to whatever number of kills they think is palatable for the rest of the world. Now, I'm trying my best to discuss this without the emotions that are driven to the surface listening to Joe Biden do this when we see the images of babies being laid in mass graves next to their parents because so many people are dying. None of them can get proper burials. This is what we have seen with our own eyes. And to have the president of the United States say something like this is, well, I mean, to say the least, it's triggering. But for the sake of today's episode, I'm going to compartmentalize that rage and continue on. Here is Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, as he gives what I consider to be one of his most fascistic speeches yet in regards to the people of Palestine.
Our war against Hamas is a test for all of humanity. It is a struggle between the axis of evil of Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and the axis of freedom and progress. We are the people of the light. They are the people of darkness, and light shall triumph over darkness. Citizens of Israel, October 7th was a very dark and black day in our history. We will fully investigate what had happened at our southern border, the border with Gaza. Everybody will have to provide answers, myself included, but all that will happen only after the war. As a prime minister, I'm responsible for guaranteeing the future of this country, and now my role is to lead all Israelis, the state of Israel and the people of Israel, to an overpowering victory. It is now a time to come together for one purpose, to storm ahead to achieve victory. With joint forces and a profound belief in our justness, a profound belief in the eternity of the Jewish people, we shall realize the prophecy of Isaiah. There will no longer be stealing at your borders, and your gates will be of glory. Together we will fight. Together we will win.
It is always fascinating to hear leaders use religious jargon to justify their violence. He's referring to Netanyahu there is referring to Isaiah 60:18. No longer will violence be heard in your land, nor ruin or destruction within your borders, but you will call your walls salvation and your gates praise. It's extremely fascinating, or rather serendipitous, to see him leveraging this tool. At the same time, the United States of America has elected a Christian nationalist. The House of Representatives has elected a Christian nationalist to be Speaker of the House, who leverages the same technique and references oftentimes the same scriptures. And they always use it to justify violence against, well, the least of these. The people of Palestine have nothing. They had nothing before. They have not even life now. Their lives are at the mercy of the man that you just heard, who described them in their totality as an axis of evil. And I want to make sure people are clear about something. We're not going to play this week the game of, oh, they're not intentionally targeting civilians. No, not when you could look at the footage and see that Gaza has been carpet bombed. And when you could see the mass graves of families and children, and not when you have the former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, Dan Gillerman, in this clip, in an interview with Sky News, describing Palestinians as inhuman animals and wondering why the world has any sympathy or compassion for Palestinians at all, comparing them to Al-Qaeda.
You know, I'm very puzzled by the constant concern which the world and also Britain, I must say, Mark, is showing for the Palestinian people, and is actually showing for these horrible, inhuman animals who have done the worst atrocities that this century has seen, and the worst atrocities that Jews have suffered since the Holocaust. I mean, you know, when the United States reacted to 9/11, I don't remember people shedding tears for the Taliban or Al-Qaeda.
You know, that will go down as one of the most evil sentiments that I have heard verbally, right? He had the nerve to say this with the confidence to broadcast this internationally, to question why people would have any compassion for Palestinians as we see their children and their wives and their daughters and their fathers and their uncles and their grandparents decimated by rockets, by missile strikes. Why would we have compassion for people who are being slaughtered? And then for him to say that the 1,400 Israelis who were killed by the Hamas militants is the worst atrocity we've seen this century, right? This intentionally hyperbolic statement is the justification they are using to literally engage in one of the most horrific tragedies that we have seen this century. But when you dehumanize an entire group, that gives you the authority to ignore their suffering and focus solely on your own suffering. That gives you the permission to not only dehumanize them, but to slaughter them indiscriminately. Listen more to this vile sentiment from Dan Gillerman, the former ambassador to the UN from Israel.
All of a sudden, when it comes to Israel, everybody is becoming a great humanitarian, totally forgetting what happened 2.5 weeks ago, which is unforgettable and unforgiven.
Unforgettable and unforgiven. There's his justification. There's Benjamin Netanyahu's justification for the violence they are committing in Gaza, because they are not going to forget what happened on October 7th. Here's a funny thing about memory, though. As we move further and further away from October 7th, and they continue, as Israel continues these attacks, what will continuously be fresh in the mind of humanity are the images of mass graves, the bodies, the children that are slaughtered, the fathers who are carrying their children into the morgue in bags because their bodies had been blown apart. As the world continues to see that, it is not that anyone has forgotten October 7th. It's that your fresh atrocities are so heinous that the repugnant and disgusting and malevolent nature of them rise and foment to the top, such that the world does not have room emotionally to continue to expend as much love and care about October 7th as we extend to the current ongoing atrocities. In other words, you're not going to be able to use October 7th as a continued justification of these atrocities, even though that's what you want to do. You want to be able to do it and everyone in the world go along with you, and for everyone in the world to ignore it. That might work for you, Dan Gillerman. That might work for you, Benjamin Netanyahu, Ben Shapiro. But that does not work for the rest of humanity, who are not going to forget October 7th. But we certainly are never going to forget what you did in retaliation, in your rage, in your quest for retribution and revenge. All right, let me get off of this topic before I go even further. After this break, we're going to discuss the far right-wing Christian nationalist Mike Johnson, who has ascended to the office of Speaker of the House. More of the Benjamin Dixon Show after this.
I'm in sync with the earth, 10 toes deep, flower child from the turf. I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad, light up ties in the hearse. I've been on the vibe, kinda hard to describe. I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize I'm in the middle of the time of my life. I'm never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap, got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson.
These days, there are plenty of things to worry about, but keeping pests out of your home shouldn't be one of them. That's why you need Massey Services. Massey eliminates pests before they get inside. They start by carefully inspecting the inside and outside of your home and then focus customized treatments on the outside. Best of all, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. That's the Massey difference. Expect more and get it.
What's up, everybody? Okay, do you guys know that even if we all ate the same and exercised the same, that we would all still look completely different? I'm Lacey Green, a super trainer with Body. That's BODI.com. And I'm telling you, this is something you need in your life. The app is about feeling amazing as we help you get life-changing results. That's called Health Esteem. Feeling good about yourself right now as you work on the person you are becoming using Body's easy-to-follow programs. Body isn't just some app. It's a day-by-day plan, and it's people, it's trainers, delicious meal planning, and even positive mindset experts. And Body features my program for beginners only, which you have to try even if you've never worked out a day in your life. And here's how I'll make it a total no-brainer. Join Body today and you can get 1 month free. That's a $29 value. A full free month just for joining today and letting me help you start your lifestyle transformation. I do not want you to miss this free month offer. Just go to body.com. That's body with an I.com.
Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
In their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 429, of which the Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana has received 220 votes. Therefore, the Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 118th Congress.
That is the sound of Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry announcing to the House of Representatives and to the thunderous applause of Republicans that the new Speaker of the House is none other than Mike Johnson, the Republican from Louisiana, closing out a 3-week saga in which the United States of America did not have a Speaker of the House because of the chaos and the disruption caused by Matt Gaetz, who is celebrating this as a victory for his movement and for the MAGA movement. Mike Johnson is an extremist. And before I go into much of analysis of who he is and what he's done, I want to remind you that in last week's episode, one of the things I alluded to was the need for Democrats to be sure not to give Republicans time enough to get information and give the United States of America an extremist along the lines and in the order of Jim Jordan. Now, Jim Jordan didn't get elected. He was embarrassed thoroughly, but this did pave the way for the Christian nationalist extremist, Mike Johnson, to become Speaker of the House. Here is his first speech as Speaker.
I want to tell all my colleagues here what I told the Republicans in that room last night. I don't believe there are any coincidences in a matter like this. I believe that Scripture, the Bible, is very clear that God is the one that raises up those in authority. He raised up each of you, all of us. And I believe that God has ordained and allowed each one of us to be brought here for this specific moment in this time. This is my belief. I believe that each one of us has a huge responsibility today to use the gifts that God has given us to serve the extraordinary people of this great country, and they deserve it.
I'll get to more of what he said in a moment, but I want to just point out how consistently we see far right-wing ethno-nationalists of every national persuasion, of every ethnic persuasion, and every religious persuasion using religion as a tool of justification for their existence in politics, and for their violence. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a great example of the usage of right-wing ethno-nationalism and the marriage with religion. We see the Hindu nationalists who are violently suppressing Christians and Muslims in India. We see it with the violence against Palestine in the clip we played earlier today of far right-wing extremists and ethno-nationalist Benjamin Netanyahu doing the same thing. And we consistently see it being used and wielded here in the United States. Now, I want you to put a pin there and make a mental marker. We will discuss this ethno-nationalist merge with religion and religiosity later in today's episode. I need to circle back to the political implications of Mike Johnson becoming Speaker of the House. He is an election denier, and he is someone who is strongly affiliated with the MAGA movement. Here is Donald Trump giving his stamp of approval for Mike Johnson being elected as the new Speaker of the House of Representatives.
I just want to congratulate Mike Johnson. He will be a great Speaker of the House, and we were very happy to help. I've known him for a long time. He's a tremendous leader, a tremendous man. Comes from a wonderful place, Louisiana. He's going to make us all proud. So at this time yesterday, nobody was thinking of Mike, and then we put out the word, and now he's the Speaker of the House. So I want to just thank all of the supporters that I have, and I want to thank all of the supporters that Mike has. And again, he'll be a great speaker. I think you're going to be very proud of him. Thank you, everybody.
So not only does Donald Trump approve of it, Donald Trump is taking partial credit for making it happen. Here is Mike Johnson on January 6, 2021, pushing against the certification of the electors, participating actively in the big lie. This is why Donald Trump wants him. This is why Matt Gaetz is celebrating him. He is an extension of the insurrection. He is an extension of the slow-moving coup that has been happening for years now, which makes him particularly dangerous in the position of the Speaker of the House, which, not to throw salt in the wound, but this is exactly what I was telling Democrats last week. Do not play around long enough for them to get someone as extreme as Mike Johnson. Here's Mike Johnson's participation in the big lie.
We must vote to sustain objections to states of electors submitted by states that we genuinely believe clearly violated the Constitution in the presidential election of 2020. Since we are convinced that the election laws in Arizona and some other key states were changed in this unconstitutional manner, we have a responsibility today. The slates of electors produced under those modified laws are thus unconstitutional. They are, quote, not regularly given or lawfully certified as required by the Electoral Count Act, and they're invalid on their face. That's just the conclusion that you have to reach.
Really?
Given these inescapable facts, we believe we have no choice today but to vote to sustain objections to those slates of electors.
No, he has no choice but to participate in the big lie in the very specific fashion that 3 individuals have been indicted for, these false electors. So here's Mike Johnson on January 6, 2021, as chaos was getting ready to erupt outside of the Capitol. He's participating inside, this time just as a representative. And now he's Speaker of the House. But we see he engaged in the false elector scheme, but not in a fashion, obviously, that would have gotten him indicted. He wasn't an actual false elector offering a slate of false electors. He was simply making the so-called legal or constitutional justification, putting it on the record of the House of Representatives, suggesting that when these individuals bring these new slates of electors for which they're getting ready to face trial, Mike Johnson made way for that big lie on January 6th. And now he's Speaker of the House. This is why Matt Gaetz is celebrating him so much. Here's Matt Gaetz with Steve Bannon yesterday.
And the swamp is on the run. MAGA is ascendant. And if you don't think that moving from Kevin McCarthy to MAGA Mike Johnson shows the ascendance of this movement and where the power in the Republican Party truly lies, then you're not paying attention. But they are crying, they are hand-wringing and bedwetting over on K Street because we have an honorable, righteous man who is about to take this position. He's going to do great things for the country.
Great things for this country. And by that, he means Mike Johnson is going to forward the agenda of the big lie on behalf of Donald Trump. Mike Johnson is going to forward the agenda of Christian nationalism and the Seven Mountains dominionism, moving this nation away from a democracy into a theocratic fascist state. Yeah, that's what he means. Mike Johnson is going to do everything these extreme MAGA Republicans could ever hope for because now he has the power of the Speaker of the House and he's second in line to the presidency should anything happen to Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. This is a particularly dangerous development in the course of American history when you put it in context of everything that's happening. We'll discuss that, particularly the rise of Christian nationalism, after this break.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions.
And here we go. Very special welcome to all of our newest patrons. Immortal Sin, thank you for becoming a patron. Renegade, Alyssa Tynes, Melvin Davis, Jan Hosevec, Lorena Oliver, Clyde Wilson, and Ty 711. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. This entire patron party is for all of you. Turn it up. You too can become a part of this prestigious and most prodigious patron family by going to patreon.com/the BPD Show, where you get twice the content, none of the commercial interruptions, and you get access to our upcoming revitalized, renewed, and revamped and relaunched patron parties. Patreon.com/the BPD Show, and we will be back after this break. Unless you are a patron, you get no commercials.
These days, there are plenty of things to worry about, but keeping pests out of your home shouldn't be one of them. That's why you need Massey Services. Massey eliminates pests before they get inside. They start by carefully inspecting the inside and outside of your home and then focus customized treatments on the outside. Best of all, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. That's the Massey difference. Expect more and get it.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Yep.
Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. If you would give me a moment to share something with you that, well, you'll understand when I share it. I was contacted about a week and a half ago by a supporter and a listener of the show. Johnny Bravo is his username. And this is what he shared with me. He said, Ben, I lost my brother yesterday. He introduced me to you and was a huge fan of yours. I'm not asking for anything, just want you to know how impactful your reach is. We hadn't talked in a while and you were a way that we stayed connected over distance. Thank you for the good work that you do. Marcus was his name. Keep the good fight going, man. Whew. First and foremost, I want to offer my deepest condolences to you and your entire family and the family of Marcus. I am honored to have had him as a listener, and I am even more honored that my work, our work, was used as a way to connect you with your loved one. And I want to thank you for reaching out and sharing that with me because it touched me. My show is a way that I keep up with my little brother. You know, it's so important for us to have connecting threads and strands that keep us together across distances. That is an honor. And I am so lucky to have become a part of a memory for you. And I hope that this moment that we're sharing here in this space can in its own way become a testament to not only our work, but the fact that our work blessed your relationship with your brother, and that we can all collectively as listeners of this program take a minute and be grateful for the life and the legacy of your brother Marcus. And I pray that his memory will always be an encouragement to you and bring light and joy to you. Now, in the spirit of brotherhood, Johnny, and I know that's not your real name. Johnny Bravo is your username on Twitter. I know that's not your real name. Your Twitter handle, though, I have to say, your Twitter handle is @LittleUglyFella. Now, my friend, I want you to bear with me as I shift gears pretty hard. But I need to demonstrate to you exactly how connected you and your brother and myself really are, because one of the funniest things I have ever seen on the internet. And again, Johnny, I want you to forgive me for the shift, but I cannot resist when I see someone who is called @LittleUglyFellow on Twitter, when one of my favorite clips of all times is of the Wendy's employees calling a customer little ugly dude, and the news broadcasters picked it up.
When you get a fast food meal, no one expects to be called a little ugly dude. Quintarius Brown says he couldn't figure out why people behind the counter were laughing before he got his order. When he saw the words "little ugly dude" printed at the bottom, he ran out of the restaurant.
Now, please forgive me, folks, for making such a stark contrast in emotions, right? But when I reviewed the message that Johnny Bravo sent me on behalf of his brother, much love and light to you and your entire family for the loss of your brother. But when I saw your Twitter handle, I realized there's no way in the world that you don't know that clip. And there's no way in the world that that clip doesn't constantly bring you joy the way it brings me joy. Johnny, thank you for contacting me. That's all I can say. Thank you. And may the memory of your brother bring you as much joy as your Twitter handle brought me just now.
It never gets me down. City of mine. How I love this city of mine. It never gets me down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was born in the city. I was
Coming up in the Patrons Only episode, we will revisit the conversation about what's happening in Palestine, and we're going to go even deeper into the problem of Christian nationalism, the threat that it poses to democracy, to America, and to Black people, Black Christians. It's important that I always contextualize this for Black Christians because Black Christianity is the antidote, except for those Black Christians who have fallen prey to bad theology and to this bad eschatology, these teachings that the war, this atrocity that's happening in Palestine is somehow reflective of the will of God because it's supposed to usher in the second coming of Christ. We'll deal with that and we'll unpack that, and we'll unpack it through the lens of the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who is himself a Christian nationalist who believes in the Seven Mountains dominionism that is at the core of the threat to our democracy right now. And this is above and beyond the slow-moving, or what I believe to be now the fast-moving coup that was initiated in servitude to Donald Trump. I think it's important that we delineate between the exceptional threat that Donald Trump poses to democracy, but the immediate secondary threat that is underneath all of it. Let me structure that in our heads before we get out of here in the public show. And again, go to patreon.com/the BPD show. I have clips of Mike Johnson demonstrating why he is a Christian nationalist threat. And I have clips from Christian nationalists, so-called prophets, who are confirming that this is their guy. Patreon.com/the BPD show. I need us to understand the existing threat to American democracy through two lenses. The first lens is the big lie and Donald Trump's ego, his willingness to destroy this democracy on behalf of his ego because he can't take an L. That is, I believe, the most persistent and present threat. That is the clear and present danger. But there's several levels to this clear and present danger. Even if we remove Donald Trump out of the equation, we now see that Republicans have adopted his methodology of undermining democracy for their own goals. See, there's a whole set of Republicans who will use Donald Trump to get the power that they want, but they also don't care about Donald Trump. And if he was gone tomorrow, they would continue to execute the same slow coup. But it wouldn't be on behalf of the January 6th insurrection stroking Donald Trump's ego to make him president again because he can't take an L. It would be because at the core of who the Republicans are in this country, they are theocratic fascists salivating at the opportunity to destroy this democracy and force, through the force of law, their lifestyle, their interpretation, their very specific and very narrow interpretation of the Bible onto all of humanity. Now, that is the long-standing, persistent threat that has transcended this administration, or rather Trump's administration. It is something that exists because that is the fundamental nature of Republicans. That threat isn't going away. In fact, that threat is now enhanced because Mike Lee is Speaker of the House. And we will dig into the nuances of that in today's Patrons Only episode, patreon.com/the BPD show. If not, I will see you next time.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/the BPD show and support the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
These days, there are plenty of things to worry about, but keeping pests out of your home shouldn't be one of them. That's why you need Massey Services. Massey eliminates pests before they get inside. They start by carefully inspecting the inside and outside of your home and then focus customized treatments on the outside. Best of all, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. That's the Massey difference. Expect more and get it.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.